on both of these right now. I'm just going to tell you guys, make sure for these that we're speaking as loud as we can so people can hear them. These are fine. I mean, this is coming across perfectly
and they're recorded.
But it's for those, they're actually picking up pretty good as long as we are talking very clear.
Right.
That's the only negative feedback we're getting at all, which isn't something we can completely solve without putting the iPads right in front of our faces.
You get the little mics right here.
Yeah, we're going to work on doing that just to feed those, but we don't have them today. So kind of was about, I just wanted you guys to know so that you didn't start whispering, but I was, we're on now. We're kind of waiting on people to get on. We talked about, it's been, I don't know, I think it's been a couple weeks ago, but I had definitely made a post about it, and you guys had seen it too, about how easy it is to get like rushed and annoyed all the time. And then you're in traffic and you're annoyed because people are whatever, and the train's a thing, and then schedules change. It was been a couple of weeks. I don't know if you guys remember, but I talked about.
Feels like my morning.
Well, it's just crazy.
There's 8 million people because school started.
It's everywhere.
Every morning.
All of San Francisco now lives in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Make me so mad on 81st Street every morning.
The premise of what we discussed was kind of like those examples that day of like the day of 9/11. The guy that forgot to pack his daughter's lunch, the lady that forgot the donuts,
that pop tire on the side of the road.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
The reasons behind it. And so today, the morning went not awesome. And it was no one's fault in particular. Had Legacy this morning, which is great. He was sleepy this morning, so I didn't rush to wake him up.
Was this morning better than the morning you ripped the ass end off your new car?
Every morning is better if I don't rip the ass off of something. Yeah. Whether it be
Bryan pulls up in a boat, like a really nice boat, at every event. I'm like, what happened? He's like, I tried to exit the garage too fast.
Yeah, I pulled a car out of my extra garage.
I was fast.
Cut her a little bit, edge, and tore the front side a little bit, but it's fine. It's not a boat, dude. It's just an SUV.
It's fine. I thought the governor was here, but it's just Bryan's rental.
I worried the whole time Mimi was driving that car, too.
You should see her face when they pulled the car.
Well, she was texting me, too, at the gas station. Where's the gas button? What are you doing? I'm like, got to turn the car off. Got to take the key out. Got to push the button. So, things. But anyways, this morning I'm laughing because I'm super annoyed already. Not at anyone. Legacy didn't want to get up. All that was fine. So you're behind, right? Well, I'm handling that pretty well, even though I hate schedule changes, I hate delays, I hate excuses from all the people, places, and things. But I'm driving down Peoria Elm, and from my house, it's raining already, of course, which I'm actually fine with the rain because I keep forgetting to turn the sprinkler on. And my other
that has been nice. I haven't watered all year.
Well, my yard sprinklers are stupid. I'm just certain they don't all work. And I text Carlos, can you check the sprinklers? Who knows if it's happening? Either way, if you have a pretty big yard like I do and there's a sprinkler system, fixing it's not a thing. It's not a thing. Because they got to dig up everything. The only thing you can fix is an actual sprinkler head if it's broken. But if it's not getting water, it's not getting pressure, burn it down. It doesn't matter because fixing it will cost even more than it cost them to put them in the first place. It's stupid. So I'll run the sprinkler from time to time in places at my house where the trees are weird and all that. Well, I've been forgetting, so the rain's great. I pull up, I'm passing down Elm, and there's a person that I can tell is an H-cap with a wheelchair hanging off the back of the car. Okay. Well, I
was wondering where that was going.
I was trying to figure out what H-cap was for a sec.
I'm very intent on getting where I need to go because I'm already late. Somebody's waiting. Not late like 5 minutes late, like 41 minutes late, okay? Luckily, it's a person that's fine with it, but I still hate it because 41 minutes late there means I'm 41 minutes late to everything on the planet. Plus, I'm remembering during this time that I'm passing the cap that, oh yeah, I've got to drive all the way back out to Bixby after this because I don't want to make the 41 person late, like more late. Back out to give Maverick his school supplies because God forbid he doesn't get the 3-ring binder and the colored pencils he won't use until next week. That's fine too. So I drive him back out there after it, but I'm driving past this and I look over and it's an elderly lady. Flashers are on. Not an old car though. Cell phone in her hand, so the justifications start. She's going to be fine. She's calling somebody. It's going to be okay. Then I'm thinking, okay, we're all the way out here. Who's she calling? I whip around, come back. I don't know if you guys deal with this. I struggle, not in a way to be, not a way to give myself credit, but what I do struggle a ton anytime I pass somebody. Because I'm like, I bet I could solve this situation immediately. Not because I can fix anything, because that's not going to be in their favor, but because I know that I've been blessed to be able to, one, I'm a solution guy, so if I get into problems, I've practiced solving things. I'm very relentless once I decide. So I start to struggle with, I bet I could help her, and I'm starting to feel guilty over it, and I'm like, man, this goes back to that conversation a couple weeks ago, is where we're supposed to be exactly when we're supposed to be there.
So there's a reason.
There's a reason that you feel that way, and I can't really co-sign that it's all the time, because if you're in an alley and you're driving through Judgment Day Highway and you see someone on the side of the road, you may not want to pull over. But I swing back around and I ask her, and sure enough, she rolls down the window, completely out of gas. Her son, who uses her cars on Sundays, usually fills it up, and he didn't today. And it reminded me of my mom. I'm like, my mom would do this. Like, she would just get in her car and drive, because that's what cars do, and she's probably not going to check the gas. And so I'm thinking, she was like, she's trying to give me money. If you could go get me gas. I ask her if he has a tank. She says no. Well, Quick Trip doesn't sell those anymore. You guys know that, right?
You can borrow them.
Sometimes.
If you negotiate.
They're usually gone, though. And the reason why they don't sell them anymore is because people steal them.
Yeah.
And they don't loan them out anymore because they're gone. They don't, they're just not. And I knew that because I've tested it.
Dude, that's a whole day topic, too. Like, people stealing the crap off the end of the airport.
It's so weird.
Because Quick Trip offered a bunch of free stuff, but because of certain individuals.
Now they don't do it anymore.
Yeah, they can't do any of it.
Well, so Casey's is the closest. You guys have heard my diatribe on Casey's. Casey's is an absolute waste of a building on a property. Their credit card machine never works. Their people in there are weird. They never have orange.
The credit card machine
the whole
doesn't
deal.
work.
The whole thing, they suck. I know the pizza, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to have a place
Casey's
there
pizza
just
sucks.
for pizza.
It's not good.
So in my mind, I'm already thinking, well, crap, if I drive down the road to Casey's, they're going to literally make me more mad at failing at all the things I'm going to need. So I just drive home. Get my extra gas can. It's got not a lot, but it's got some in it.
Did you call the 41-minute appointment before you went home?
No. I always feel
It's
bad.
all fine.
You know, honestly, I dealt with even telling you guys this story today just because I feel so bad about it. Feels like bragging, doing something we should all be doing. But I will tell you, in almost every case that I notice these situations, nobody stopped. I don't understand it.
Well, you don't have trust. We'll talk about that later, but people don't trust people on the side of the road anymore because of the freeloaders.
It's that. It's also, you do get in situations of safety. You pull over the damsel in distress, and all of a sudden you get out to help, and you feel a gun in the back of your head.
Mine's never a damsel. You notice his is like this damsel's probably trying to lure me into stuff.
No,
Mine's
mine
the guy
either.
with like long hair, one tooth, and I've got my wife with me, so I can't help.
Well, and I will tell you guys, if you've got kids in the car, your wife's in the car,
Don't stop.
You've got to really make sure what's up. I had taken a good look at this scenario, meaning drove by and came back. Older lady, no one else around. But yeah, 100% as a side note, if you see a situation that feels kind of odd, you do got to think it through. You can't just pick up a woman on the side of the road and offer anymore, because you might get accused of rape or some crap.
So if somebody just joined, I'm catching everybody up. You're now an hour and a half late to some meeting with somebody you haven't told.
I don't even know what day it is anymore.
You feel like you've heard from somebody, and so you're back home with a gas can for a lady that's
Got
old
the gas
on the side
can,
of the road.
And it's got just enough gas. I don't even think it's going to work. Go up, and then you guys know these gas cans with a little trigger on the end of it. It's got to catch the deal, and then it puts the gas in. Well, lucky enough, now all the new cars are built to where there's nothing to catch that little thing. So you got to shove it all the way down in there, and so much that you're breaking your damn gas can to get it to work. So there's gas all over her car, gas all over me. I get done with it, and I'm already laughing because I'm thinking, this is exactly what happens to me on a day to where I'm so annoyed. I might not have even stopped if I saw one of my kids walking on the side of the road, you know. But I do it. We get it in. She tries to start it 4 or 5 times. She's doing it wrong. She's doing it wrong. You know she's flooded.
So what's wrong with this story?
You know she's flooded. But she's still just pounding the button and moving the gears. And I'm like, I just want to say mom, because she looks like my mom. Stop. Just stop doing all the things you're doing right now and pump your gas pedal while the car's off and clear the system. But it's your car, do whatever. Finally, on like the 4th or 5th deal, it catches and I go. And she puts it in and kind of screams off. And she has maybe a quarter of a mile down to Casey's, to which luckily they were able to sell her gas today. Shocked me already. And so, but anyways, I thought about that whole thing, and it's like, you are literally always where you're supposed to be if you're kind of following directions. Does that make sense? If you're listening, if you're paying attention, I think you're going to know when you're not supposed to stop and when you are. And thinking about that scenario for that old lady today with a wheelchair on the back of her car, it sounds pretty stupid how fast and easy I was able to solve her problem. Come to find out, her cell phone wasn't working.
He didn't make it sound fast or easy, though.
Yeah, this sounded like a
it really
4-hour
was.
ordeal.
It really was pretty convenient, meaning my house was 3 minutes away.
So he's way late.
So
Well-
at this point, we're like 57 minutes late.
Everything turned out fine, of course, but I got to thinking, cell phone wasn't working. That little 15-minute whatever, you know, for me, maybe saved that lady hours. Her phone wasn't working. She was literally dry gassed. She wasn't going to walk. So she was going to have to wait for someone to stop. Eventually, hopefully, someone would have.
That would have been safe.
Hopefully. But you think of what it cost me. Nothing. Just
Time.
honestly, in this world, and we talk about this some, we're super blessed. There wasn't anything that could have happened in that moment that would have shifted anything in my life at all, because everyone waiting on me still would have waited. Everything going on around me still would have happened. No one would have died, gotten hurt, missed a meal, or anything.
No.
The flexibility and the blessing that I have in my life allowed me to have, I could have stopped and pushed her car a quarter of a mile, and all I would have had to do is change shirts. That's it. But we think about how, you know, how annoyed we are all the time with being in position. And for me, I think about, Lord, I'm not wearing the shirt for this today, and I don't want to get weird about the shirt, but I'm going to promise you, if Corey Minter's listening, this is one of those. This is not a shirt today to be pushing people's cars around or getting the oil or doing all the things. And here I am, like, spilling gas all over myself on the side of the road. But we're always in position, and I believe that could have saved her a ton. Because another thing I don't even know, is once we got down to the gas station, is did she even really have money to fill her gas? I don't know. But ultimately, she could have been on the side of the road forever. And what kind of pressure and stress, I think about my own mom and other people that you can tell maybe be a little squeezed for things. I could feel in that moment that this was the last thing that this lady needed to happen to her. And she was trying to figure it out in her late 60s. So I just kind of said the moral of the story, it just goes back to that old conversation we've had. We've got to stop getting weird about being in position. You know, you're at where you're supposed to be. If the train comes through, if the cars are going this and that, people are late, people changing plans, I think we've got to make it normal to take a deep breath and go, there's more to this. You know, there's more to it. And I don't do that very well. I'm always like, it's got to be this way, it's got to be that way. So
I don't think society or most men do that well, because we're not in control, and we're also, like, as tough as we think that we want to be. We're at the prison Friday, right? And in the prison, other than this one event, you don't have a phone. You lose track of time. Yeah. Well, but the one event, but the other events, we didn't have a phone.
You never get to have them. They wouldn't work anyway.
Well, you go in there to serve people. You get, like, patted down and wanded. Thad, like, you're the nicest person in the world. I remember, I love this, by the way. Thad got, like, super offended by the lady wanding him down. Like I thought
She
you were
asked
going
about my normal watch.
I
and
thought-
she was like,
look at
can you
him.
submit?
I don't know
Can you
what's
send
going on,
things
but
to
he's got
Rick?"
like
I'm
this
"No."
rooted thing to let go about the woman wanting him down.
He's trying to tell time.
But and I don't want to stray too far off of this, but we're not when we're in the prison and we're spending time with the guys that are locked up, we're on their time. And we're not in
Right.
society and there's not all these demands and everything doesn't have to move so fast and dude, it's nice. When you don't and hear me, when you don't have a phone for a couple hours and you're just focused on the person in front of you for a couple hours and what you're bringing is your best for somebody else for a couple hours.
Well, it goes into a lot of areas of life, Kellen. When I think about, we should just go ahead and recap Friday real quick. We didn't have an opportunity
Friday
to
was
do that
incredible.
yet.
I couldn't sleep Friday night.
We're going to post, we'll have some posts coming up about what took place Friday. You might have even seen a news story on it, but I want to brag on the guys that do this. Scott Komar is kind of our leader in this 1440promise.org organization, which is simply a prison ministry that was created to have an entrepreneurial class inside the prison, but give men the opportunity to kind of sign up to plan for the future, but also to learn how to become men based around kind of a spiritual, godly plan who really, dude, guys, when you think about the Bible and you think about entrepreneurial like ideas, I'm not getting the word out very well, but it's in the Bible. I mean, that God talks about being excellent at what you do, being excellent at your job, being excellent at things you start.
Having things in order.
Yeah, and having a discipline enough to create around you, build.
Don't be lazy.
And so what the 1440 Promise does, which is an organization that I won't go all the way back in the past. Essentially, our buddy Scott took over. He felt led and then started putting a couple of people around him as a board. And Kellen and I were lucky enough to be included in that opportunity. And what we've learned is they take men, they come in while they're inmates in a prison, and they apply to be in this class, and then they have to interview. I mean, it's pretty serious things. It's not just for anyone, for everyone. There is not enough resource to do that. And also, dude, not everyone's ready.
You got to keep a culture. And if somebody wants something, you put the people that want it together, and then the other ones can grow towards wanting it. And that's what's happening. Like, we'll go into further detail on it, but Bryan, so Komar took over and took the responsibility, not knowing a lot, but knowing that the mission was big enough for these men, they're worth it. And then we got moved prisons, right? And so you're starting from scratch. You get this handful of guys. Here's the incredible part. There are men breaking chains, discipline, their communication skills are growing like I can't even, that's what we'll get to. You can't communicate how well some of these men have grown over even the last month. But there are over 200 guys begging to be a part of the program now.
Yeah,
which
I met a guy,
means a part of the program that's listed is not to, hey, impact the rest of the prisoners, but that's what's happening. And so that's kind of from a 10,000-foot view, the impact this is having. Now go into some of the details.
Well, the cool thing is, since a takeover, which is now, I mean, it may be a year and a half. We won't quote the dates, but we're probably a year and a half into new leadership. And this is the first time ever that after going through the class with Mike Lawson's our director, kind of teacher guy, the guy that makes the show run on the day-to-day on site, this is the first time ever that there's been this idea to like, why don't we have these guys for a couple of weeks work on a business plan? So the class starts and it starts to snowball into this kind of result ending to where it's like, what did we get out of this? Not only spiritually, but what did we get out of this that we can take out of here to kind of put our hands to work on? And so they work on business plans, and they created this idea like a Shark Tank. You've seen it on TV. ORU does a Shark Tank. Someone prepares a business plan, and people judge it. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Well, as we started to work on this program, we thought, how these guys are going to work really hard on it. How can we make this thing even more ridiculous for them, more special, more memorable? And we thought, why don't we see if the governor can fit this into a schedule? And I'll tell you guys, our governor's cool. I know that everyone has an opinion, and that's fine. I don't agree with everything. Here's what I agree with. If someone's willing to take a leadership role and do things instead of just talk about it, respect is already given.
The other thing that I agree with is if somebody's doing something harder than you and you don't know them, but you're going to run your mouth about their job that you don't know how to do, just stay on social media.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. If they're doing a harder job, look, if you want to have an opinion, you better be very respectful about the critique because you're not doing it. And when you're in a job, it is much harder to do a job you're in than it is to talk about someone else's job they're in, you know?
So I'll say this, like from the position of people having their heads shoved up their keister about politics, because that's like if you mention anybody that's serving our state or our federal government, people get on both sides and start acting like animals and throwing poop at each other. We are very passionate about these men. And to have somebody that's run a successful business and runs a state, like that's a lot of what he does, right? Stop what they're doing and come listen to them is a big flipping deal. And so regardless of what you think about him, he said yes to a request. And for the guys in a prison, for somebody that's running a state to come listen to them was huge. All right, go ahead.
Right.
Well-
yeah, this thing has grown because they have done like, what is it, 3 or 4 classes of this now? And like, there's a couple guys that have gotten out that are running
Businesses.
their business plan.
They're running businesses.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I was talking to Mike the last time I was out there about one of the guys who got out a couple months after the program, and he's like doing general contracting work and doing handyman work and stuff like that, which I feel like at the start it was like, hey, we're going to have this like business plan idea, but now it's like,
It's happening.
it's like we're gonna go to the mountaintop and like send you on a trajectory
it
of
is,
like
yeah.
an amazing like results, immediate feedback on your business plan.
It has gone from setting them up with the skills and disciplines to actually get out of prison and not go back. The incarceration rate's incredibly bad because they've been given a false identity and they have no resource or connections. And then when we bridge that gap, some stuff down the road to keep them consistent, right? To, we graduated with this business entrepreneur program,
Right.
and we have former inmates
Yeah.
with felony that have started successful businesses.
Yeah.
And the big thing, we talked to a couple of them, they were there, they've reached out and they're helping other people get out. Like they're not stopping at their business. They're creating places for housing and doing incredible things in our city.
Well, and it's just cool because it's like it used to just be, you know, Mike and kind of whoever he could pull together, and now it's like we're having CEOs of companies, we're having like successful business people come in and like actually critique and feedback on this like idea of like we want them to do better than they did before.
Even how our board came together, that's where Bryan started with the story this morning. You're positioned certain times in certain places for a reason. And the way that this is run and ramped up so quickly is a lot of those strategic placements that we were unaware of.
Well, and to be clear about politics, I mean, anyone, I don't care what kind of how they're registered, if someone's going to be willing to step in and do the work they've talked about, they at least have my respect. We don't have to agree, but if you're going to put some hustle behind the muscle, you're going to get my respect. And that's what gets me all weird about the stuff is everyone's got an opinion. But, you know, and a lot of times you think about someone in the governor's position is they don't make their schedule a lot. The goal of their team, and this doesn't matter how you're registered, Democrat, Republican, or whatever, your team, their job is to make your resource go as far as it can each day. And a lot of times they've got to get you in front of as many people or as much influence as they possibly can. That's part of the job. That's not even really the leader's decision. They delegate that. For the governor to decide that 22 guys in Taft, Oklahoma
In a prison.
are fine and deserve his time, I thought was one, humbling because he had 1,000 other requests, but the governor loves business. He loves the idea, because that's where he came from, his business. He loves the idea of being able to take and give people another chance, because another thing we do is we sit and complain about people getting out of prison. Now, oh, they're going to trash our town, blah, blah, blah. What are you going to do about it? You got people here trying to step into the fire and do it. So I think he has a lot of respect for the program in general, because people are sacrificing time and resource to bring men up and give them another shot. So I just thought it was a great example of a leader actually doing leader things.
Well, and how many business leaders or owners of businesses, former CEOs, were at the thing on Friday?
Dude,
Because I can
A
count,
lot.
I can count at least 5 that I know of, and I didn't get to go because we had business stuff here. But like, I can count at least 5. You,
Multiple-
Kevin, you guys both, Kevin, Corey. I mean, that's 4 just by itself. Scott, That's
We
fine.
had a
Like,
we had a lot
like-
of people enlist. Mike Hendren came. He's on our board. He owns a very large business in town.
So there's 6 at
There's
least.
about 20 executives there.
Yeah,
That's
JC
unbelievable.
came.
Yeah.
That's
We had a
unbelievable.
lot of people willing to give, as per usual, JC was being JC. I think the guys enjoyed different personality types, feeding them recognition, feeding them ideas, feeding them energy. Something that JC's really good about is feeding energy. He loves to speak into someone's psyche, and I think that went really well. I know that they enjoyed having guys like Corey and Kellen and Lincoln there to offer practical, very useful
Advice.
feedback.
Dude, and they
Right.
got some great feedback.
Right.
So,
and,
well,
it's
let
like
me-
it's like we just
So
gave
you
them
were
this
but you
huge
weren't. Hold
pool
on.
of feedback.
You weren't there, so
is
this is
awesome.
what was cool because I didn't know this was going to happen. I saw the agenda. Brian and I get there, and the inmates, the guys that we minister to,
Right.
they set the tone. They introduced some stuff. Scott said he got out of the way, and they set their gratitude tone. They set their prayer tone. They set their
Heck
I am commit like standard, and then they challenged a couple executives to do it, and that was the tone of the room. They went through an agenda, went through some 1440 stuff because everybody needed to know, and then they all exited. We got a break. They come back in, and this wasn't fun. Like for most people, it should have been intimidating. They've worked their butts off. It basically looks like, you know what JC looks like, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if he's in all black, Brian's over here. I'm staring very directly because I got a month ago to talk to these guys and give
Right.
some suggestions, and I'm looking at the differences. They're in front of 5 people that are very serious, and they hand you their business cards they made. I was so psyched. They all had personal business cards. Awesome. They presented themselves, and they pitched for 2 minutes. And then it went into Q&A for a minute, and then it was the next table, and they fluctuated these tables. We all got a vote. Then they came back. Here comes the governor. He comes in right in the middle of somebody's pitch, by the way, and the guy at our table, like when they said go again, went right back into it. And I don't know if I would have been able to do that myself.
That's tough.
Then the top 5 do their gratitudes, their salute, their prayer, and the I am statement in front of Stitt. And one of them walks up and says, now you do it. And he did it. And then the 5 best go right in front of him, and they destroyed it. Like they brought it.
Yeah, the programs were really good, guys. I mean,
But I think like getting back to that right place, right time, like you guys got involved in this when it was kind of like, well, we have this kind of like really cool track, but like we don't know how to like push it further. You guys have like taken it over the mountaintop with bringing
less than that. I think the people that were running it, and Scott, like I said, Mike is why we do
Right.
this. Mike's doing everything. Scott took the position of president, but he also was praying for certain resources.
Yeah.
And what I see is right time, right placement. He got those resources that he asked for.
Yeah.
And I don't see that we've done anything other than step
But you
in.
guys
and-
kept showing up.
well,
right place.
but we're doing what we're supposed to be doing,
Right.
right? And when you have the right mixture of Brian, like what Brian said a minute ago, you have talking heads and too much social media, and you have people willing to do things.
Yeah.
Things have an impact, and they move forward. What else do you want to say about the event?
well, I want to kind of tailor this up at the end on this part because I do want to have a little bit of conversation about a topic today. But the programs were unbelievable, Thad. The pitches were on point.
They were on point.
I give all 22 guys. I think it was 22. All guys get an A from me. Everyone gets an A, and that was a huge deal. The A comes from the amount of time they spent, the demeanor, the passion behind the idea that they had, and the preparation. Could we buy every business? No, but that's normal out of 20 to 22 pitches. But I'll tell you, there was a couple there that were legitimate pitches, that were ideas that were actionable, and there was also ideas there that could have quite a bit of there's resolve there that they could work. They could work.
With some advisory. They could. When they were done, everybody at my table, like there were some great ideas, and then there was one. I wanted a dessert taco really bad. There was the guy that his wife has the bakery, but he has a specific dessert taco.
I missed a portion of every
Stitt.
pitch because of the planning, and I mean, it's just how it is when you got security. There was some boundaries and going to the prison.
Hey, do you want to feel not in control? You did this too. Go to a prison
Press showed up.
and serve the prisoners because you're going to get walked in and you're not in control of that process from that point forward.
Well, the press showed up, and the problem is the day the governor came is we did very, very light administrative people. We only had one, and then we had a couple of detail. And so what happens when the press showed up is we're not really sure exactly how certain types of press find out. But sometimes, and this is what sucks about some parts of politics, is there's people out there that actually can find a way to disagree or have a problem with everything going on, no matter how good or bad it is. And so I had the awesome, unfortunate opportunity to ask 2 to 3 press people to leave because we're not going to answer questions about negativity. Look, if you want to hear what's good, we're sharing, and we did share with channel, I believe it was 6, 9 on one part of the state, 6 here, about what the governor was doing. What the governor was doing there that day. But we're not going to sit and answer questions about nonsense today when we're trying to celebrate the guys.
When I have a guy, so on the negativity, and this is still about the prison ministry, it was that night, I have a guy, and he and I have a lot of respect for each other. We disagree, and I think this is rare, and it needs to happen again. We disagree on everything. Like, there's hardly anything other than treating people well that we agree on. Right. Politics related, anything. And one of the things he and I unpacked was, he's like, man, I'm being drawn into, like, everything's so bad and so negative. I'm like, because everybody shares it. Right. And so not only is the media not your friend, they're taxed with a negative story because you're going to consume it more. Just like health food. If we would quit talking about negative crap together, like if we would all get together, they wouldn't be allowed to do what they're doing.
Well, and we'll shut this down, this segment, with, I just want to give the governor and his team and the detail all some recognition to load up and come from Oklahoma City to Taft to show these inmates the respect that they deserve, which
it was cool.
The governor mentioned, like, the honor was his. He was blown away with the opportunity to meet these guys. And you know what? Those guys had him softened up pretty good. And one of the guys made a point to tell everyone, look, no one in this yard would ever get the opportunity to meet the governor. They don't care how he believes, votes, or any of that. They cared that the highest ranking official in our state was willing to come spend like almost 2 hours in their presence, giving them full attention and full recognition. I thought that was special. Yeah. I thought that was cool. So we'll transition real quick, but before we do, my friend Amy that listens to this was giving me hell a couple weeks ago saying that I wear capri pants on the podcast. And
did you wear full pants?
Dude, the difference between your nice pants is the fact you wear socks to your knees. Your pants look the same length as mine sitting here right now. I'm just not wearing socks up all the way.
When I stand up, my pants touch my shoes.
It's fine.
When they like
Amy,
hug his ankles.
You can see, like, Kellen's legs are purple, basically, but it's the same thing.
No, they're great. I'm glad that he's not offended at all.
Zero offense taken.
That he had to stop the podcast and talk about his jeans.
I was just noticing it, and Kellen's huge iPad up there, like, I see more of his dang leg than mine, but whatever, it's fine.
It's fine. My legs take up room when they move.
Thad, have you ever... Dude, I love wildlife. When we talk about wildlife, I like the aggressive ones.
The bears.
And I'm still talking about animals right now. I'm not talking about women. I'm not talking about women.
Golly,
I know that everyone thinks that we're talking about women right now. We're not. You know, they always talk about dating in the wild. I'm not dating.
I can't wait for him to go back and listen to the words he's chose to use from the beginning of this podcast.
Let's be clear. I'm not dating. So when they talk about in the wild, I'm not talking about that wild. But yeah, there are some things to be said there. But I love wildlife, but I like the aggressive ones. When we start talking about birds and ducks and cows and elephants, don't care. Don't care at all.
Lions.
But when you start talking about lions,
rhinos,
when you start talking about
wolves,
gorillas,
bears
silverbacks, you know, I'm not.
Silverbacks are cooler.
I don't
but
really
way cooler than bears.
Well, I don't include bears in that, and here's why. I like a much more aggressive, controlled wild animal. When I start thinking about that, bears are kind of, you know, they're just big and weird and they're kind of scary, but you know what? And you should be scared of them and terrified, but I'm telling you right now, if I walked into the wild and I saw a lion standing there and a bear, I'm more worried about the lion. And maybe I shouldn't be. I don't even know, but for some reason, there's something about a lion that puts me on, like, watch. Another animal.
Same thing with a silverback gorilla.
They're unbelievable. They'll kill you. They'll tear you apart.
They're so big. They went didn't they go viral with the 100 men versus a gorilla thing for a year?
They're unbelievable. The things you can compare silverbacks to control leadership is unbelievable. But the one I want to talk about today for a few minutes is the wolf. Here's why the wolf terrifies me. If it's nighttime, the likelihood of you spotting a lion or a bear, you're going to. I watch documentaries on it, but wolves hunt you. They're different. Hunts are and I think this is why the bear and the lion inherently know they're dinosaurs and it is what it is. You can't get away. It doesn't matter how they do it. You're done. Wolves are just intelligent enough to hunt you. And that's weird to me. Well, I came across this story and I'd post about it this morning because the story compares the female wolf to like humans, like the relationship of it. And what I learned when I read this is if a male wolf confronts problem, challenge, or trouble or some kind of an issue, the female wolf gets under him, but not in a way of ranking. She gets under him near his neck and head. Okay? And as I kept watching this documentary and I started to Google on it, is this a real thing? The female goes to put herself in harm's way to defend the male's neck because when wolves fight, their only place of vulnerability is in their neck and throat. So the female goes to protect her mate's neck and throat from kind of that being attacked. And as I read it, I'll kind of read what it does. In the chaos of the fight, the female wolf stays close beneath the male. Steady and fearless, full of trust, she knows his strength will protect them both, the leader, but she's not just hiding, she's helping. The neck is the wolf's most vulnerable point, the target the enemy strikes for. She knows that as she wraps herself around him, shielding his weakness with her own body, her courage declares what words never could, that even in the heat of battle, love and loyalty run deeper than fear. And I thought, that's unbelievable because I found one verse, and I want to hear you guys discuss this, but the verse I found that compared to this the most for me was Proverbs 31:11 and 12, where it says, her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. When I thought about the first part of that verse, her husband has full confidence in her. And one thing I want to pose as the question for you guys to discuss on this is, in real life, as it pertains to relationships, and this is key if you really dig into this, how many men understand the ability to lead so well that they would allow their partner, their wife, spouse, whatever, to protect their most vulnerable place? How many men understand that? Men, even the best men that do great in marriage relationships, I don't think fully understand letting their spouse protect their backside. And I'll give you one example. And you're a married guy. You guys are both married. You know, your wife, a lot of times, if she's seeking the Lord and abiding there in her relationship with only him and you, has this gift of discernment. And through this gift of discernment, in a lot of ways, is covering your vulnerabilities. The things that you feel drawn to, maybe you desire in the flesh, she's there to protect you. What do you guys think about this right here and how men can get better at understanding what she's there to do without it being like it hurting your masculinity or making you feel weaker?
Right. And, that's the crisis when you talk about, so we just finished up Grapple Chapel, right? And some of the toughest men in the room, it was incredible. We had over 100 men in the room yesterday and probably 80 family members, kids, wives celebrating. But you have these men that look like they're built out of stone, and some of them feel like they're built out of stone. And they're weapons, which means they spent 10 to 15 years, and they're spending 12 hours a week in an inch of another man, right, looking at a chess game to choke them out, break a limb, like they're masters at it. And a lot of them are masters at striking. And when this stuff got real, and here's the key thing, they trusted the other men in the room, right? So there's trust built, and then they got vulnerable. meaning that they brought the wall down and there's an affected area, and they might not even be able to communicate it, but we can work towards it. Something's not right. But they were vulnerable enough to admit it. Some of the toughest men in the room were falling completely apart because of where their marriage was or because their wife was leaving. We are in a marriage crisis.
Right.
But I would trail it back to, because my wife, you've met Tara, but I mean, I can say all these things about her. That she, like, not only that, but what you said, Bryan, was the neck area.
Right.
Right? And
The
then
most vulnerable location
and then I
for the wolf.
I trust her. You know what I trust my wife with? When I'm running too hard, she's the one that's going to say something. You know what else she does? She brings balance. And so something else that can be destroyed is our family.
Right.
And so when I'm running too hard at some of these ministries or work, she has plans for the kids and slows me down and go, hey, I really feel this for the kids, or let's plan this out the next season. She's seeing the things that I'm missing all the time and drawing me back into place. She also knows when I don't know that I'm not okay. And she'll send me off, and I'll go to. I told her this. She encouraged me to go with a buddy to a worship thing the other day, and I went to Victory. Right, last minute, she's like, "You need to go."
Sean?
Yeah. Well, but the thing was, the Victory thing was awesome. The speaker was transparent. Like, I could say all the good things, but for me, I walk in there and just broke and cried for like 30 minutes. I didn't know that was there. My wife did, and so when you talk about that, this exactly like you talked about it. They will know, and that's what they're meant for. But if there's not trust, and if a man's not willing to be vulnerable with his wife, which most men have never been vulnerable with anything, you're not going to get there.
What do you see on this, Thad? As a younger married guy, I'll tell you what happens with men on this particular subject. Even the men that are trying to do it right, understand relationships, they still have this weird feeling of letting their wife or their spouse, who a lot of people would dictate as the weaker sex or whatever that all means, as someone that can't really protect them.
If a man says that it's the weaker sex, he's an immature 13-year-old.
Yeah.
That's a little boy talking. Because that's what we learned. That's what my 9-year-old does right now, is we have to be stronger than the girl because she's actually better at some things, right? Yeah. And so that's still a little child talking. Go ahead, Thad. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. I was waiting for Bryan to finish the question.
Well, I was saying, when you see this, how do you see men in your age group? Because you guys being in a younger age group, men are still trying to learn it. Unfortunately, some of us had to learn this a harder way,
right,
by making mistakes. And I will say, a lot of times, personality type can also feed this lesson some. My personality is probably one of the worst. Not on purpose. You don't get up going, I can't wait to make all these mistakes. You're just inherently wired a way to where if you don't receive and acknowledge humility quickly, you'll miss it. And it's not till humility do you understand that, oh, okay, I did that one, stupid. But for the younger guys, do you see men understanding this one, that the wife, your partner, can protect that most vulnerable area? Be it, a lot of this is going to be sexual too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I probably don't see it as much in terms of it actually happening. So I see a lot of lack there. But, you know, my wife keeps it held down on the home front is what I say. So, like, I can go hard charge and do stuff, which, you know, if stuff doesn't get done at home, then I can't go hard charge. And, like, I know that's the same for you, like, and it's the same for Bryan. Like, stuff doesn't happen at the house, like,
in the world,
we
looks
can't
at that,
like push forward. And,
yeah, you're a team. The world looks at that weird,
Buccaneer,
right?
like Buccaneer, our ship here. But I think a lot of guys get into relationships, marriages, without fully understanding who themselves are.
Right.
Yeah. And if you're not comfortable enough in your own skin to like accept criticism, accept, you know, hey, we need you a little bit more around the back end here rather than like always at the front. Like, you're going to have a lot of struggles, and a lot of people my age just, they dive in for the physical. They dive in for the intimacy of that, but they don't quite know themselves before they do that. And that's like a really like dangerous, like hot pot to like try to hold.
Thad, I was thinking about because Bryan mentioned this to me earlier. I was thinking about exactly that. like the crisis, a lot of the crisis that marriages are in is because of the reason the connection happened.
Yeah.
And I could say from a woman's standpoint, just hearing the guys all the time, right? You come in and I'm not your dad that screwed you over, was never there. And I'm also not the ex-boyfriend that cheated on you that you keep treating me like.
Right.
I'm not saying anything. I'm going to get to the guys in a minute, but that's the female that's not healed or ready for a relationship getting in a relationship because it met some other immediate need and it wasn't going to last long term. The male that can't communicate any emotions and he wants his physical needs met and he's used to hopping around girl to girl and liked this part about this one and so old because all his friends are getting married. I just need to get married. And guess what? You still compare men and women and do all. You sound like you're a 13-year-old child,
right?
And you didn't know yourself well, and you weren't healed enough to get married either. Now we're both in it. And how can I trust you and be vulnerable if I've never been vulnerable? And most guys spiral because they don't know why they're messing up. You know, I tell a lot of guys too, give yourself a break. And everybody needs to hear this, even in relationships. When you're with somebody you really care about from the opposite sex and they're yours and you're giving all, even if you're dating, you're giving all your attention and something doesn't go right and you're over emotional, that's a set of deep emotions that you don't experience outside of a family dynamic. So you're going to have immaturity there, right? We need some coaching there, but you're exactly right. We're not getting in relationships for the right reason. Right. You know, I can't even find dating in the Bible.
Yeah, because
people set themselves up and they understood marriage in a completely different way than we think of it now. They didn't set up all these bad habits and move in the toothbrush. Mm-hmm. You know, I'll keep it PC for the podcast, right? But I'm with 15 different people living with them before.
Right.
And when it got hard, I just left. And so now I've set myself up to fail and I brought a lot of things unhealed into this relationship.
Well, and some of the best advice I ever got, it was from a guy here in Tulsa. His name is Jay Henderson. If you're listening, I love you. Thank you so much for what you've done for my life. But he was my youth pastor. Jay, if you know him, he's 7 foot tall, played basketball at ORU, played basketball overseas, like incredible dude, like most magnetic personality on earth kind of guy. But he was like, if you are in a long-term relationship with a girl, I was probably 13 when he told me this. Like, if you're in a long-term relationship with a girl, and let's say you date for 9 months and it ends, give yourself almost 9 months to heal, and just like pull those roots out of like that. And I was like, "What do you mean? Like that's almost a whole another year?" And he's like, "Dude, you dated her for a whole year. Like, you either got entrenched with bad habits or you got entrenched with like." Weeds in the garden, like take time to weed the garden out and like figure yourself out before you just like jump back in to the booty call, jump back in for the wrong reasons. And I think a lot of people,
validation, attention, recognition.
And a lot of people like they do have like this thing for attention, which I'm not saying attention's bad. It's just a lot of dudes love attention just for the sake of attention. It's like, we had this conversation a couple weeks ago with big guy at the summit. He'd been a felon before, doing his own company. Big black guy.
Are we talking about?
What's his name?
Ron? No. We're talking about Marquise.
Marquise. Yeah.
Marquise is
Marquise
awesome.
was like, he said something of like, yeah, like there was a lady there and that she was talking about like, well, it's bad to talk to AI and whatever. And he's like, well, like, that's just like a personal problem. That's like you wanting to seek attention.
Right. Yeah.
And like, that's where like the immaturity is. He's like, I have an AI assistant. It helps me get tasks done. It's great. Do I talk to it about like some boobs and some ass? No. Like, I'm talking to it about my day. So like AI is helpful in that reason.
Well,
but
I want to capitalize on
the attention seeking is like where dudes my age get kind of in a swamp there.
When your age, so, you know, I want to give kudos. You've met my sister, Bryan. She was in a relationship and has taken time, but it was
about to make a million jokes.
It was, yeah, I appreciate it, especially after Thad's like over here just jamming. Thad's on a different level today. But
I just hit Derek. I hit some people already with what you just said.
But what you're saying, so she took some time, right? She got involved and plugged into a church on her own, like,
come on now,
we're doing some things, and she looks up to brother, but there's a lot I can't say because she's my sister, right? Like, meaning she won't receive it yet.
Can't hear it, right.
And then she's in a Bible study, by the way, Kevin Hearn's house. Like another politician, and everybody's like, oh, this, I don't really care. You know what I know about Kevin Hearn is my little sister finally got into a Bible study, and he opens up his home, and that's where it's at. So that's what I know. And then on top of her doing that, she's traveling, doing some different things, and then now she's looking. But the change is she's matured enough to say, who do I want to be for the person I want to meet? Not this is what I want.
right?
And just like you, without a mentor, that's what you were saying. I got to wait a whole year. I want this now.
I was 13. I was literally 13 at the time.
Yeah, you got.
But it was like Jay was like, dude, like, pull back.
Well, what I'm
go
hearing,
hang out with the guys. Go
thinking about
like get your garden cleaned
Sorry,
out.
Thad. Thinking about your sister on that, Kellen, though, is what I'm hearing you say is instead of her dictating what it is she has to have, okay? We do this. This is what I got to have.
It's natural for us to do that, yes.
This is how she needs to look. Instead of that, which I don't want to discount for everyone that some of these things are important. Attraction's important. Connection's important. All of it is important. But what I hear you saying is your sister saying, you know what? I'm going to trust him with those things, and I'm going to start to put myself together and be prepared for what he's sending me, not tell him what to send me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's, and I, we're kind of getting serious on it, but that's crazy. And you said a while ago too, is if you dated for 9 months or you were with together, at least take that much time. You know what people are doing is as soon as things are done, at least even in their mind, they're already moving on, and it's not about the next relationship. It's about filling a void.
Yep.
And they can't hear it. They just can't hear it.
It's about filling a void and feeling good.
And it's only been a couple of months, and it's like you were just married 4 or 5 years. If you can't take a year,
6
and
months,
not go on a date,
8 months,
not
at
be
least.
friends with benefits, not be seeking validation and an attention in text messages, you're doing it wrong. And I'll say this just to include everyone. Everyone's guilty a lot of times for not doing this correctly.
For sure.
But I'm just saying, what if you could? What if you could even get close to that?
Well, in our men's ministry, Bryan, if somebody will let me speak into their life, and this is the one area they don't want to hear me, like when I'm walking with somebody really closely, there's always a couple guys that I have a huge heart for. They're drawn to me for a certain reason, and it's not the leadership. So I'm ministering to the leadership, but if there's this special guy, and he's let go of everything. When I get close to him, like, hey, I don't want you to date for a year.
Right.
It's the most complicated thing you're going to put in your life, and you're healing right now. And if it goes sideways, do you know what happens to men? And probably women, but I can speak for men. We want to bring chaos in real fast because we're hurt.
Well, and even if it's, even if it's a good person, it may not even be a horrible, bad, toxic person.
But you've had bad behaviors.
The timing sucks, though. You're not going to get or give the best parts. One, because what you have to give isn't the best. And I know you've convinced yourself it is. I know you have. You're justifying it. You're figuring it out. You need connection. You need all this. The problem is you can't hear it very well, but your relationship with him is not where it needs to be because you're filling that spot with just what you can get. And again, I'm not hammering you or that other person. It could be a great person. They might be a pretty decent person. They might be a spiritual person. There might be a lot of good things there, but because of the timing sucks, you're almost kind of spoiling it. You're almost pouring water on a plant, but the water's not good. And it's not going to do what you need it to do, probably.
When this may be tough for people to swallow. We had 24 baptisms at Grapple Chapel, right? But the significance during the baptisms, people were pulling out skull and vapes, and grown men were tearing up and throwing the crap down and going, "You're not going to get in my way anymore," right? Well, what the skull and the vape represents is every time I'm stressed out, every time I'm going to that, and what you're saying, I'm not going to God.
Right.
In this scenario, whether anybody listening to this wants to hear it or not, that next woman you're doing the same thing to her. If you're the man, if you're pursuing a woman that fast, you're doing it out of selfish need. She needs to make you feel a certain way, and you're going to temporarily feel that because you're fulfilling your emotional need, and you're not taking what could be healing to God. So not only are you screwing her over, but you're setting yourself back a long way.
Right.
Well, and men, I mean, I'll do this part just because I'm the single whatever.
I was going to say poster child, but
Well, yeah, it could be that too. But I've messed this up sometimes too in my past, and I know that we're not trying to hammer this so hard that it's like only you're doing this wrong.
no, it's
everybody does.
Dude,
wrong.
our one relationship forever with another human is pretty damn important.
Yeah.
Like, it would be nice to see people start treating it that way until the house is on fire and they run to a counselor in hopes that something's going to get fixed.
Yeah, I'll tell. I mean, I know some.
Everybody does.
I know some single people, and trust me, I am not the teacher or director on this subject. I just like to kick it around and talk about it just because we mess it up so much. It's just I like to highly encourage people to understand that doing hard things is hard. It's really hard. There's a reason why almost nobody can do it,
Yeah, I
and
agree with
everybody
that.
justifies it, and that can really be spread across multiple categories of your life. Generally, if something's really, really hard, it's going to bring a lot of value, and that's why most people aren't doing it. You know, to back to kind of to the subject matter here as we kind of, end it up is when I think about that concept of finding someone that's willing to guard your most vulnerable area, your throat, if it's the wolf, right there, if you can just use that subject matter, you've already filtered the choices down a lot, guys. You have, because when you start to think about, and we're men in here, so we're speaking about females, but the females could have the same conversation about having a man worth guarding the throat for, right? This is our side of the table, is that female, that spouse or partner you're looking for, it's not a lot of people. And I don't want to get weird right now, but it's just not a lot of people. One, there's a lot of partners out there, potential partners, that don't even understand that concept. They still haven't learned it yet. And then there's a lot of people that don't really understand how leadership would work biblically in a relationship to where they can have a man that is worth letting lead the home, but also worth understanding her leadership position and is guarding his weak side.
I can give you an example of the female part of that. We had 313 guys coming to Band of Brothers, and I had some guys spiraling out and talking stuff, and everything looked good, but I was carrying that load and we're moving at work, and I was just exhausted. And I sat back on my bed and I broke, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Right.
So I can be as strong as anybody thinks that I need to be until I'm broken.
Right.
And I've had multiple times of being that in my marriage. And
Yeah.
one, my wife asked me to not get to that point, and I don't listen well. That's still on me and my leadership. But two, she walked in and reminded me, told me to go to bed, gave me some food. Then
Hey,
then she
there's
hey.
biblical things about a little snack and a little nap.
Dude,
there's
and-
biblical stuff about that.
And you want to talk about I'm getting ready to shift. You want to talk about somebody coming through my front door at my wife with what she's done for me? You won't have a head before the door turns with my wife and my kids. She had me on a bed at my most broken point and reminded me of who God called me to be. And then told me to rest and fed me and kept reminding me of that until I got back into using the gifts he gave me.
And you know what that wasn't, Kellen? It wasn't a manipulative spirit. It wasn't bartering. It wasn't leveraging. It wasn't calling you out. It wasn't making you a simp. What it was trying to do is she was trying to say, hey, look, dude, no matter how you responded this particular moment, I'm still here for you. I'm still going to fight with you. But I do want to remind you that this is who you are.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, hey, if you can't remember who you are, I'm going to get out of here and you figure it out on your own.
Well,
I'm just going to stand here and remind you of it, but I'm going to be here in it.
Well,
the
and
thing is,
hold on.
she
This is
started clearing out the weeds that got in your garden.
for
dude.
sure. But I want to hit on that. But before that, my wife, though, was mature enough that she could be that, Bryan, and we dated long enough. She wasn't looking at me for me to fulfill her. And so she, in that moment, could step in because she sought God before me when we started dating. So the fact that I was breaking didn't affect her because I wasn't the one holding her together, right? I wasn't this mystical thing that I can never be. And that's what we do to each other. We have these stupid plans that this other human being that's going to fail us at some point will fulfill this for us. We get to make each other stronger together in marriage. The other thing that I want to point out, because I've watched some of these podcasts, of some of the silly things that young girls think that they want with this much money and a guy that's 6'1". Do you know that that's a small percentage of the population? And most guys that are attractive over 6'1" with $1 million are douchebags. And the one thing that they do worse than anything is relationship, but they do everything else well. Like, not only is it a small percentage, but all your lists, ladies, if you're making those kind of lists, are so superficial. My wife wanted a man that wanted to get closer to God. She wanted somebody that was not completely selfish. Like, her stuff has some depth to it. And then I had to prove myself. Like, we didn't kiss for 6 months. Like, our story's pretty freaking cool. But I found my best friend, and then she put me through the ringer to make sure that what I said was true, and I wasn't just, because I dated so much maybe, good at saying the right thing.
Well, why don't we, we're going to get a number of questions, feedback, and comments about this one. It's kind of time to tailor it down. Why don't we next week, touch on one responding to some of the conversation that this topic has started, and maybe kind of start off next week with you telling kind of your story, Kellen, on how God kind of planned out you and Tara's connection, if you're comfortable with it, of course. I think you are.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you, now I'm just saying it. But how that went, how that came together, and we'll compare that to what has now taken place over the last decade plus in a marriage as it goes back to having someone that is guarding your weakest area. Is that cool?
Yeah.
So we're gonna close it down today. You know, when we have good stuff going on, we want to get rolling, and we appreciate you guys listening here. We need you to be sharing. We need you to be commenting. We need you to be going and liking the podcast when you're on the platform, whether it be iTunes, which is my favorite one, but also iHeart and also Spotify. If you could review us right there, review us on the platform, that helps us a ton. Share the link. You can literally go up on all those platforms and click to share that link with someone if you want to share the show or a particular episode with somebody. So,
yeah, listen, even if you don't like Bryan's pants, continue to follow us. Make
You
fun
don't
of
have
him.
to watch the video.
Yeah, give us a
but
5-star review. Make fun of his pants on the comments, and we'll just move right along.
we'll take all the reviews you can. So we'll close this out real quick. I'll do a prayer real quick so we can shut her down this week. And again, thank you for reviewing us. Thank you for sharing it. So God, thank you for today. We appreciate so much the ability just to share concepts from our heart that we think other people can talk about. We don't come from a place of experts or some kind of top shelf hierarchy. We just want to come and bring people topics that they can actually grab a hold of and begin to just maybe figure out solutions for their own lives. We thank you for the blessings and opportunities of putting us in position, for putting us in ways, places and ways to help other people if we can do it. Thank you for giving us eyes to see and ears to hear what you have to bring to us. And I just want to pray protection and blessing not only over my partners here today, but also the people listening. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And don't forget to get
canceled.
Canceled.
Wow, Thad, you're late on that.
Yeah.
That was extremely bad.
Sorry.